The Sharks finish up a 8-game road trip on the losing side. They did play better, but what next for this team? We'll talk about that and a lot more right now on Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday night, January 28th, 2021. The Sharks lose 3-0 to the Colorado Avalanche, finish up an 8-game road trip. This is Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every single game right here on the YouTube channel, so of course hit that subscribe button, but chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app. Follow us on the social with the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord, and of course find everything at tealtownusa.com. Hi everybody, it is me. I have my power back. We'll get to all those jokes in a little bit here, but I am Puck Guy 14 alongside Al Martinet. Al, you've been in the Central Coast, so how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Things have been busy on my end. Just in general, with the Central Coast, we're getting hit with a huge rainstorm. And for the next 2 days, we're on mudslide watch. So just in general, a lot of busy work. But, normally when you look to sports, you look to have some relief. But right now, the Sharks aren't really doing that.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I thought they played really good on tonight's game. I think there we go. I thought that we were just a tough one all around in this one, but in the third period, but that being said, we'll get into the game a little bit. I want to apologize to viewers on the other night for all the technical problems we've been having, either on the website or on YouTube. My power went out when the storm hit up here, up in the East Bay, on Tuesday night. Gracious for Ian and AJ to pick up the pieces after the power went out here. Thankfully, we checked Doppler radar. We're both okay, so we'll be good to go there. So we'll get on with this here. Al, first period, the Sharks really blew some chances to get on the board early with some penalties. You get 3 chances on the power play, and you don't cash in on them.
Yeah. Right now, the Sharks are 1 for the last 20. I think after this game, they're 1 for the last 23 on the power play.
Jeez.
So, not a good stretch. That's the last 3 games. So right now, this is a power play that's just not giving us anything. And that is also somewhat feeding into the penalty kill. But in particular, after you lose 7-3 to Colorado, you're looking to get that first goal. And obviously, that didn't happen tonight. Hats off to Dubnyk tonight, but hats off to that post also
man.
tonight.
No kidding. I mean, we showed that up top that it says 3-0 final, but it could have been 7-0. And again, I thought this team played a lot better. I thought this team was coming into town and not getting defensively outplayed or anything like that. I mean, like I said, the Sharks had 3 chances on the power play in the first period, couldn't cash it in. Yeah, Colorado had one themselves, but I thought they played really good. Even though Gambrell took that penalty, I thought Dylan Gambrell played excellent tonight. Really showing that he wanted to stay in the lineup.
Yeah, he was a positive, but we're not really seeing a lot of offensive chances from the first 2 lines. Couture, we haven't really seen much. The bank has kind of regressed a little bit. And Meyer's been a kind of ghost for the last 5 games. So you're looking not to Gambrell, but you're looking for your top unit to actually produce. And uh, Nathan McKinnon didn't even register a point today, I don't think.
And that's the thing, is that you're seeing more Gregor is the last goal scorer here. You see more Gregor. I mean, we'll give credit to Ryan Donato, who's just playing his heart out like crazy, especially since he came back to Minnesota. But I mean, my goodness gracious! I mean, just when it's tough to say, because it's like kudos to the third and fourth lines for actually showing up, but at the same time, if you're hearing good things about Noah Gregor, Dylan Gambrell, how they're shot blocking, or Marcus Sorensen, or any of those guys, and you're not seeing the likes of, like you said, Meyer, for that matter, Hurdle, Kane, is leading the league again in minor penalties. I mean,
This is what his 7th consecutive penalty in a game, or game with a penalty. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like 7 out of 8 with penalties, this season, and it's just ridiculous, and that's the tough part, and people are getting, frustrated with that. Quotes coming in right now from Bob Bugner: "We're losing draws on the power play, and we don't have any gas. We switched units, but it's got to be better."
Yeah, that's solid.
I mean, you were talking about the draws before we went on, how they're losing key draws. It's not just, not just a regular draws, but you're losing key draws in there, and it's just starting to get a little frustrating on there, because we saw that in the second game against Arizona, where Arizona was winning draws, and then the next thing you know, boom, they get it into the net. So it's a tough one to talk about.
I mean, the Sharks have only won, maybe my math is off, but they've only won 2 games of the faceoff percentage this year. That's just not great. And some of that's because, we used to be known for having that center depth. That's obviously not there. You're losing Joe Thornton, you're losing, and Marlowe's not the same, but Hurdle can go with, can be extremely streaky on the faceoff percentage, and they've just struggled to make that transition. Sorry, Advanced Delaney, I'm going to kind of steal your tweet, but they've never really bridged that gap from Pabst to whoever the next person was. And I think ownership, in particular Doug Wilson, thought Couture could be that person. And you kind of have to shift some responsibility onto Couture, like how this team is performing. Maybe he's just not the right leader for this team, and maybe not. He would play better not having the burden of having to carry the locker room sometimes.
Right. No, I get you. He was an assistant captain for so many years, and you had so many guys in the room that could be the leader. I mean, yeah, you had 2 former captains who had voices in the room. You throw in Pavs, and yeah, you're kind of like the fourth, assistant of sorts. And then all of a sudden, where did everybody go? I mean, you have Burnsy there too, but I mean, to me, this was Couture's team and everything. We're getting more comments coming in from the presser. I liked our first half of the game. Didn't mind our game defensively, but we didn't spend enough time in their end. And that's another solid point there, Al. I thought they played pretty good for the first 2.5 periods, and then the third period comes along. I mean, I thought they were putting the pressure on, but then once Colorado got their first goal from Nazem Kadri about halfway through, things started to open up.
I mean, some of that's because they were down and they had to take chances, but still you're 0 for, I think they were still 0 for 2 in that third period. So you can't really rely on that power play to dig you out. but still, I didn't think the chances were that good enough. I didn't think they had a offensive zone percentage. Like they just didn't keep the puck in that zone. Um, this team is tired. This
Yeah.
team is tired. Some just because of how many years these guys have been playing in the playoffs. Not like last year. I get it, but you know, there's a lot of wear and tear on all these players,
Yep.
especially the top players.
Yeah, and then you have all that, and then you have 10 months off, and you have a couple of days, not the week that was promised, to get back into things, and it's tough, and to do it all in Scottsdale, Arizona. I mean, and Bugner, kind of touches it on here. We've been in Colorado for a few days. Altitude didn't contribute to it. We look like a team that's been on the road for 35 days. This was the second longest road trip in Sharks history. Considering everything that's going on with the Vegas Golden Knights, it could become the longest road trip in Sharks history if things come. I mean, it's unbelievable everything that's going on, but that's the thing with everything. Anthony Sanchez, let's get to some of the chats here. Denver Doyle, Kane is really pissing me off. You're not alone.
Yep.
If the big boys are not producing, why not reward the young players and give them some power play time?
And you're making solid points there. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, but you're also paying a lot of these guys a lot of money to sit on the bench.
I do want to do a shout out to Curtis. He had a great breakdown for the pregame.
Mm-hmm.
The Sharks are just not showing or not shooting the puck on their power play, and some of that's on Erik Karlsson, Brent Burns, but in particular, Karlsson's just not shooting the puck, and I don't know if he feels like he has to be in a fill that role for Jumbo, but
I was,
I'm not. I did quite. Yeah, but
you make a point, because I was totally going to bring that up, because Jumbo has a legacy of passing, and passing, and I'll even quote, my girlfriend Amanda, who will say, less passy, more shooty. I mean, come on, for crying out loud. It's
yeah.
You need if you were to be the league leaders in passing, we would have won multiple cups by now. Especially since 2005 when Jumbo got here. But passing isn't going to do it for you. And the thing is I think you're almost like looking for the finesse play. And I think Erik Karlsson's kind of doing that as well. And that's the ridiculous part of it all. And I think, the whole point, and, I hate to bring up Paz because I know there is so much Erik Karlsson bashing, and we wish, Joe Pavelski was back, but it was, it wasn't pretty. But I mean, Burns would get the puck up to the point, just throw it on net. Somebody would be out there to tip it, and we're screaming and celebrating everything.
Yeah.
It's just tough to describe. And
again, 1 for 24 is not good at all. They've gone through stretches, but this is a pretty bad stretch. But they've always relied on their penalty kill, and that's started to become more of an issue, where Colorado was 1 for 4 tonight. I would bet you they scored the other game. You would figure that they would play a little bit better because they saw them on Tuesday. Wait, no, was it Tuesday? Whatever last? Yeah, it was a Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Sorry, I've been hit by a massive rainstorm, so I'm trying just to...
He's recovering from storm watch, people.
Yeah.
Live team coverage coming up next on CBS 546 in the Central Coast. Back to you, Al.
Point is that I just worry about how fatigued all these players are, and I know they just haven't played hockey in the last year and a half, but they're just not skating. Timo has not been the same. And his regression is really troublesome, especially considering Hurdle's contract is coming up. Like, what are you going to do about him? There's a lot of questions, and the Sharks really did bet the Sharks really did bet everything on that 1 year to make it to the conference finals, and they almost didn't even come close to getting out of the first round.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it wasn't for that miracle, we would be looking at all these players a lot differently.
It's you bring up a great point that I usually bring up. It's like, yes, it's great that we got to the conference final. This team should have won the cup, and we could say that for a number of Sharks teams throughout the years, and that's why this fan base is frustrated for so many. But at the same time, like you said, this team was 60 minutes away from being eliminated in Game 5 of that series, let alone took a penalty in double overtime of Game 6. Hurdle somehow found the net, beating Fleury, and then, yeah, like you said, the Pavelski payback with all those power play goals and then Goodrow. I mean, there are probably a lot of people saying that the Sharks sold to the devil in 2019. And others will say no, they just let Joe Pavelski go. And the thing is that this team isn't going to get over losing Pavs and losing all those players, including Jumbo, for that matter. If you don't succeed, it's just going to linger onward and onward. And considering, let's see, we're at 49 people right now, so we need about 25 to activate the wraparound, Laurel. So 25 is what we'll get to you, along with a donation at Venmo at Teal Town USA, or hit us up in the super chat. AJ's watching that one down big time. But until this team makes you forget about Pavs is going to be brought up, and Pavs is going to be brought up, and you're going to get comments like this from Sharks_fan27. How much longer are the Sharks going to ride out Doug Wilson? Time for a GM change. You're seeing Couture is not captain material. Hasso isn't going to 2 years in a row not making the playoffs, paying close to the cap.
They made the playoffs 18 years in a row, and now they're in danger of missing the last 3 out of the last 6.
Yep. Since 2015, they made 3, didn't make 3 if they don't qualify this year. I mean, if you go back from 98 to 2019, they only missed it twice.
Yep. This fan base has not gone through a serious drought like Buffalo, hell, even Arizona. But it would take even hardcore Sharks fans like us to get accustomed to losing seasons. It's the worst losing season I could think of is 93 or 92, but that's how many years ago?
I mean, that's 28 years ago. They went 11-71-2. Their first season in the NHL, 17-58-5. I mean, you had 28 wins and 129 losses.
And even under Owen Nolan, you still had a good solid locker room chemistry. You still had interesting people that you would at least like to know more about. Timo doesn't seem like he really cares about stuff. Erik Karlsson just ducks out of locker room interviews. It's a different time right now because you can really see how things can really tail off, and the next 5 years are probably going to be really rough, just because of how much they trade away for Erik Karlsson. But in terms of what happened with Pavelski, side topic, but really, when they re-signed Kane to that massive contract, they basically booked him out, and the team hasn't really been the same.
I think when they lost Marleau and they needed to find another goal scorer, they went out to get Kane. That's what they were hoping for, and they were hoping for him to be, in a fresh setting, focusing on scoring, not needing to drop the gloves, not needing to get any of this crap. And of course, you have the distractions of everything that's happened with him off the ice.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a lot going on in his head, and in a way, you feel for him, and in the other ways, he's like, "Come on, man, we want you to just get it together. Just shoot and score. That's all we're asking. Don't take these dumb penalties like the elbowing call tonight." You know, I mean, that's the toughest part of it all. You know,
I do think there's hope for this team, but like you would have to rely on, if you trust Brent Burns, you have to say that he's been decent. Erik Karlsson, you have to trust that he's gonna at least come back to form. And Vlasic, that's more of the question mark there, is how much it seems like his plays kind of dropped off a lot. And if you are going to trade one of those pieces, it's either going to be Vlasic or Kane. But Kane has probably zero market value right now just because the way he's been playing and everything off the ice also.
There's that, and also, honestly, you look at the modified no trade clauses. It really puts a tight in there, because there'll be 3 teams that are probably virtually impossible for Doug Wilson to trade to, so they virtually come no moves. And you see I think I saw on Twitter today, like, can we make a deal with Seattle for them to take Burns and Meyer?
Good luck with that.
And you're putting you want to put 2 former players in the division, and knowing how much that Seattle paid to get in the league. We all know how Vegas got a lot of wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Just think what they're going to get, and that makes things a lot worse. You see Vegas, you'll eventually see, you'll eventually see Seattle be more successful than the Sharks in the upcoming years. Raphael Snit, the very few times the Sharks decided to shoot, they failed on the shot, or just couldn't get open. Mogam, oh boy. Okay. We're going to try this. Mogambo Maru. I hope I got that right. EK65 looked good this game. It's that his style doesn't fit with this team, in my opinion. I mean, that's kind of what I thought the coaching staff was adjusting to. Now, mind you, John Madden isn't with this squad, and he's going to be controlling the defense. So it makes visas, the credit card works, but getting everybody on the right side of the border doesn't, or lets you allow to work in the country doesn't.
Sorry, I thought you were referring to actually the John Madden. I'm like, what? What's going on here?
Yes, that's right. We're going to have him. He will literally be our X's and O's guy. Boom, tough acting conducting. I mean, come on. But
we are currently at 23 likes. Let's get 2 more.
2 more. And of course, super chat donation would be grateful too. Indeed. We'll continue to go through the comments here from Tomasz Hurdle, and I'll do my best Tomasz Hurdle voice. Sometimes sometimes it's nice when you get home. You have to not think about hockey, but when you're in a hotel all the time, all we think is hockey. I mean, perhaps that's part of it. And again, no matter what, this team will be out on the road for 7 weeks. Oh boy, and 2 thumbs down. Well, there we go. And boom goes the dynamite.
I mean, like, things do get better after the 2 games with Vegas. They play Anaheim, they play Los Angeles, and hopefully those 4 games you kind of get back into momentum.
Mm-hmm.
But Colorado and St. Louis were kind of the first real test for the Sharks, and they're 1 for 4 at the moment, and they got lucky with the other goal, the win over St. Louis, but they were not convincing wins. They were not convincing wins at all, and luckily, I think Jones did pretty well for that St. Louis win, but I have little hopes of this team making the playoffs just because of how tight it's going to be, and it's very much going to look like. I'm honestly wondering if this team's going to show up versus Vegas on the first.
And again, if they play Vegas. I mean, that game will be at Gila River Arena in Glendale, Arizona. If you are in Arizona, I believe you can check sjsharks.com. You could go to that game. I believe they have 25% capacity. It's strange to hear. To have that. The Sharks did put that out earlier today, which is mind-blowing either way. Devin Dumanis, 35 saves on 38 shots, 921 save percentage. Again, not too bad on the night. Defensively, I didn't think they were too bad. Everybody but Knizhov played over 12 minutes in this game. But the workhorses of Burns at 28 minutes, who let's talk about it here as well. Burns gets injured by his own teammate. It looks like Couture's skate blade might have caught Burnsy in the ankle. Haven't seen anything yet. He did return to the game, but Burnsy is always a workhorse around. We hope he's okay.
It looked accidental, and you're hoping that nothing major comes from it. But Brent Burns going down would be a significant injury, and it would almost it would hurt this team right away.
Yeah, it would be a huge loss if he were to miss any time. Now
with Vegas, isn't there some rumors that there's some health issues going around with that team?
Yeah, so from what we've heard, and it sounds like it's Alex Pietrangelo was placed on the COVID list, let alone the entire coaching staff with the Vegas Golden Knights. As I was mentioning before my power went out the other night, that Joe Ward, along with the entire coaching staff of the AHL Henderson Silver Knights, were going to coach the last game against the Blues. They were supposed to be in place tonight as well, along with Vegas GM Kelly McCrimmon, who has a previous coaching experience. That game got postponed. It remains to be seen on what happens in Vegas. Their practice facilities are now closed. They will see when they will play again. Of course, that's the Sharks' next opponent, and that was the game in Glendale on the 1st and the 3rd. If those games aren't played, thankfully those games will be played in San Jose after all of this. And for the Sharks, they would be off for 8 days. So, I mean, you would get some time, and if you're able to get back to the Bay Area, that would be great. We'll find out in the next day or two whether or not if those games will be played on next Monday and Wednesday. The Wednesday one was supposed to be an NBCSN game. So,
that's something to look out for. And it's probably not the first. It's probably not going to be the last time we deal with a COVID situation.
Continuing on, because a lot of comments about keeping Pavs or not keeping Pavs or going with a younger one. You have Chris JWS. Good to see you, bud. Hope you're doing okay down there. I know you got soaked in SoCal. Keep in mind, if the highly possible situation of re-signing Pavs to big money and he feels his age, the narrative is then, well, he calls it Doggy Wilson, holds on to the old players for too long, to which we say it to his doggy face, you mofo. Yeah. If you're a long-time viewer of the channel, you know I lost it when Chris put a picture of Doggy Wilson, and that's a thing. That's a thing. Denver Doyle asking me, isn't tanking better than being mediocre? Rather reload a farm system and begin the process of offloading assets. The tough part is that you have a lot of these key players are you're in long-term deals. They have either modified no trades or full no moves. I think Vlasic and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, Vlasic and Carlson are the only ones that have no movement clauses, which means guaranteed they will be protected in the expansion draft too, which I think I saw on Twitter later today. Just expose everybody that you can expose and see what happens.
And even if you wanted to get rid of Doug Wilson, it's highly likely his son would still have a major force in that organization. And it's not going to be an outsider with who is going to build it up from the ground floor. It's still going to be Doug Wilson's imprint. It's going to take a long time to shed a lot of the dead weight. And dead weight is Erik Karlsson, Kane, Jones in particular, with his god-awful contract. But you're looking for cheap pieces that can fit tightly, and the Sharks just can't do that right now.
Yeah. No. And, but you just don't get it. But you also have to look at it this way. I mean, yeah, and like one person said, I think it was Anthony, who said, this isn't a place where you can rebuild. And honestly, the Sharks really haven't had a rebuild year. They've always either gone for it or just been okay.
Yep.
They've never really gone through a full-on rebuild to retool and everything. It's always been retooling on the fly. Like 03-04 was probably the start of a rebuild, and they got into Game 6 of the conference finals. 2015-16 was supposed to be better, but I don't think anybody was predicting going. I think I even remember Dan Rosen of NHL.com even saying the Sharks won't make the playoffs, and they what 2 wins from winning the Stanley Cup. So
I do want to just back it off from Doug. Like, he had the unfortunate timing of signing top players before COVID, and then having the cap situation not come out to what he predicted, which this has happened to all the other GMs too, but in particular for Doug, when you think you're going to have if the current cap is let's just say it's like 60 million, but you expect it's going to be somewhere in the 80 million range.
Right.
You think you're going to have that 20 million to give to your third and fourth liners, and they just don't. And you're just seeing that on top to bottom. And, it really does pinch when you're paying Erik Karlsson $11.5 million, which I think is more than, Drew Doughty.
It's just a scotch above Drew Doughty. I think Drew Doughty gets paid 11.
Yeah. So, was it worth it to go all in that 1 year? It was in some retrospects, because for a lot of Sharks fans at that time, including me, I felt like they just should have just go for it, get the top guy on the market, and make a run for it.
Yep.
They did. And, we can't really be hypocrites and say, oh, well, no, we want to still be competitive for the next how many years. When it's just going to be that way for the next. It's just going to be that way right now.
Like I hate to use an adage from Mike Babcock, but there's going to be pain. I mean, now that being said, I don't think it's going to be the pain like you saw the first 2 years of the Cow Palace, and
hopefully not.
Oh, thank God. Even when radio station guys were saying, "Hey, did you hear about the Sharks tonight?" Yeah, they didn't lose because they didn't play. When we get to that point, that's bad, and we all know how much the sports stations just love how to talk about. Let's talk about Steph Curry's ankle and his ankle brace next. So that's why you have the Sharks Audio Network and us. Chris JWS saying Sharks fans have never really appreciated they've had a competitive team for so long. As a fan of several teams that have seen decades-long runs of awful, it's better to at least be in the discussion. And it goes back to one thing that Adri's always put up, with us over the years. It's, would you rather win a cup and be bad for a few years, or get there a number of times, or get close a few times?
I think as long as it's not infuriating, like, with the Sharks, with their playoff record, it was the second round out for like 5 straight years.
Yep.
And then, in the last 5 years, we've gone to 2 Western Conference Finals under Pierre DeBoer. That felt pretty good. I felt like we were building something. But like, in terms of like, we've only been to 4 conference finals in the franchise history, I think 4 or 5, and that's our playoff record has just not been good enough. I don't know if I've always kind of pointed at, put that on Marleau in some retrospects because I think he's not shown up in the best moments.
But at the same time, he's had big moments as well.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's yeah. Yeah.
So, well, we're at the point. Chris has made the donation. Laurel has gotten the chat to like it for 25. We're at 27 likes. So, shall we?
What's it called again?
I don't remember. Hey, let's hear a video.
Have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
We can call it a wraparound. I don't think we got enough to call it a around. So we'll go through these really quickly, and then some news as well that regards the San Jose Barracuda. Late in the third period, the Canucks are up 4-1 on Ottawa. What a shock there! In the probably the game of the night, I think so far, Leafs lead 4-3. That's late in the third at Rogers Place in Edmonton. Earlier tonight, the Bruins win 4-1 in the Battle of Black and Gold. In Buffalo, Alexis Lafreniere gets the overtime winner. His first NHL goal is the overtime winner as the Rangers beat the Sabres 3-2 in that one. The Flyers beat the Devils 3-1. And as the Devils go to 3-3-1, the Flyers are now have 11 points. The Capitals still haven't lost in regulation. They win 6-3 over the Islanders in this one. John Carlson with a power play goal in that one. The Hurricanes win 1-0 in overtime thanks to Next Cash. In the shootout, the Blue Jackets beat the Panthers 3-2, handing the Panthers their first loss despite it being in the shootout of the season. Montreal and Calgary, I saw some clips of this earlier tonight, and it was a beauty with the sweaters that they were wearing. Yeah. But Tyler Toffoli, once again, lighting the lamp for Montreal with a shorthanded goal. There, they win 4-2. The Wild continue to go on a good run. They're up 5-3 over the Kings in the battle of former Sharks turned GMs. And Joe Pavelski, once again, the other night he had hit 800 points. He gets a goal tonight, and as the Stars wore their blackout neon green jerseys, 7-3 in that one over Detroit. And the Desert Dogs. Oh, I think I still have some more. The Coyotes holding down the fort for the rink that the Sharks will potentially call home. The Coyotes beat the Ducks 3-2 in that one. Kemper with the victory for that. Let's get to the AHL news per se.
Ooh, Barracuda!
The San Jose Barracuda will have one less opponent to take on this season. It was announced a few hours ago that the Stockton Heat, the AHL farm club of the Calgary Flames, is going to move the team to Calgary, and they say only for the 2020-21 season. They will play out of the Saddle Dome, depending on the Western Hockey League season and the Calgary Hitmen. That means 3 teams will be calling the Saddle Dome home this coming season. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had to expect that there's probably going to be a couple of teams that decide to drop out, um, just because of the financial impact of COVID, not having people in the stands, but um, the NHL is expected to lose $1 billion this year just alone. So it's going to take a while for the NHL and the AHL to at least get back on its feet.
So it is what it is. I mean, it's a tough one to take, but you hope that they do return to Stockton. I mean, Stockton's arena is absolutely beautiful, but the tough part is I think along with having the NBA Sacramento Kings minor league squad playing in the same building, definitely kind of hurts things, because after all, Sacramento is more of a king in the Central Valley more than anything else, for sure. It's a tough one for indeed. Yeah, it's just so California's cruising, saying, so we beat the Heat. If I had a rim shot sound effect to play, I would. In fact, I still need to. I have a Rodecaster Pro underneath my desk here. I would totally. I got to get that set up very soon. So
just look outside. It's freaking rainy outside.
Yeah, it's pouring out there. So especially down in your area. So be careful with that. So, kind of want to bring you up tonight, because today was Bell Let's Talk Day. If you use Twitter, I believe TikTok as well, 5 cents of every mention or every tweet that had the hashtag Bell Let's Talk on there would go to help fight some mental health research charities. Don't forget also, the Sharks did put up today a list of links of where you can donate in the area you're in here in the Bay Area. So look out for that for sure. But it'd be tough to not know somebody, not have gone through some anxiety, some stress. Honestly, I mean, you guys, a lot of you knew about my pool filter accident last February. It's like that Sunday, we had lost the Super Bowl, and then that following Wednesday, my pool filter blows up as we were trying to get the thing to go again.
So that wasn't the 49ers defense?
No, the 49ers defense didn't fall apart, but dealt with some head injuries. I still deal with some pain here and there. I mean, this side is still sensitive to the touch, and it's tough because you go through a lot, and especially this year, to go through that, to go through dealing with everything COVID wise. As many of you know, I work in the public, so I'm wearing a mask all day, and it's always tough to deal with some stress that you shouldn't be doing or shouldn't be dealing with. So always know, and Felix, you hit it on the head here. Always know you're never alone. There should be anybody here to help you out. My DMs usually have my DMs, I believe, are still open. And if you want to reach out, I will do my best to do whatever I can for you.
Yeah. I do want to say, though, if you are in need of help, I think most colleges when I went to college had a therapist you could see if you needed help. You might not feel like right away, but having just to talk it out, not overthink things, it is a relief that you cannot measure. There have been many, many times where, you spiral, you overthink, and a lot of people can, at least for me, I will go into a deep depression because I just overthink way too much. Just check yourself. If you're going through that method, go for a run, just but it is totally all right to talk with a therapist outside of your family and friends, someone that is a third party that will navigate those areas for you. And it will take time, but you will feel better. And that's the thing. And don't think you can just go once. It's all a journey.
Yeah.
It will take for me. It took months, actually more. It took like 6 to 7 months, but for others, it will take like potentially years, depending on what is bothering you.
Yep.
So take your time, let the process happen, but just talk it out.
Yep.
Don't overthink
Absolutely. Absolutely. So want to get that out to you guys. I mean, it's really a day like that, and it kind of can trigger a lot of things. So, but that's where hockey comes in, hopefully. And even though the Sharks are 3-5, and the power play sucks. I mean, come on. Let's be real. The power play has sucked since 1991. I mean that little stretch. I mean the little stretch that we had at the beginning of the year. I mean, come on. It's just it was that nice fancy little glimpse of what could be. So, but with that, let's end on a lighter note. The Sharks, for now, are going to play. We'll add another arena that they call for a home game. Of course, Cal Palace, San Jose Arena / all the names, of course. Throw in Levi's for the outdoor game. The 2015 Stadium Series, not just some all-star game or random outdoor game or regular season game, as some would call it. Or
it's a waste of time.
It was it's going to still be, unless they build up, they play in like the Rose Bowl. Will be the largest attended hockey game in California.
That sounds dope, actually.
Right? Right? I'm just saying. So you had San Jose Arena, you had Cal Palace, Levi's Stadium, you had Yoyogi Arena, which was essentially a swimming pool arena in Japan for a game in 1998. Of course, they started a season in Stockholm at the Globe Arena in Sweden. And now you're going to add Glendale, Arizona at Gila River Arena with a creamy crested moon in a purple circle to host your home opener against the Vegas Golden Knights. We think. I mean, those two games will be Monday and Wednesday of next week if Vegas isn't into more COVID trouble. Stay tuned to all of our social platforms. We'll keep you updated on the situation. Who knows what's going to happen? We'll see. Davalos, yeah, you're right. Preseason at the Oakland Coliseum Arena, they had those. Fingers were crossed if they would actually play at the Coliseum during this whole thing. If they were stuck in there, but
yep.
How do you set up? You go home for two games to Glendale, and then you'll go on the road for a little bit more, and then finally, nothing says I love you like coming home to your family and get ready to finally play in your own barn.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward just to seeing SAP Center. I believe they went through some renovations during the break,
Yep.
but honestly, it's not going to look like the SAP Center without the fans in there, and that's probably not going to happen this year. There was some hope for it would happen, but Santa Clara County is really restricting professional sports, and until you see the 49ers show up, not the 49ers, well, I guess, yeah, if the 49ers show up, it's probably not going to happen. So
you kind of look at it, and yes, California Cruising, using what Brody said, Rome games.
no, I thought that was
You're waiting for them to break out you to Rome, and if we could get away with it, we probably would.
Well, just like Rome, the Sharks kind of fall away.
Right. So you have the games in Glendale on Monday, Wednesday, we think. Otherwise, the next games will be in Anaheim. Yes, they'll finally play a game in California on the 5th and 6th, and then have a couple of days, and then play LA 9th and the 11th, and then they'll finally come home for a two-game homestand, and then go back out to St. Louis for two. That's your February, folks. Depending on everything, you do have a little bit of a gap between the 21st and 25th that they could get those two games against Vegas if they need to make them up. That's something that you could be seeing. So
if you were to predict the Sharks' record in February,
oh God,
what would you say?
Don't do this to me, Al. I mean, come on. You know I'm kind of like the eternal optimist.
2 versus Vegas, 2 versus Anaheim, no, 4 versus Anaheim, 2 versus the Kings, and 4 versus St. Louis.
I'll say they get 5 wins. I'll say they get 5 wins just to kind of dangle that. Ooh, or we might get a playoff. Ooh, we might get a playoff. You know,
I think 5 wins is like the over. But no, I think if the Sharks don't start, the most pivotal series for me is the games versus on February 13th and the 15th, because right after they play 4 games against St. Louis, and that is that's if you lose 2 versus Anaheim there, you are automatically, I think, lose a decent amount versus St. Louis.
Yep. So, I mean, they played well against St. Louis, but we'll see. 4 games, and you're playing 4 games in 8 days, like I said, with a 5-day break where you could get Vegas in those in a couple of those. So we'll see. Yeah, Richard Duvall is saying over under 4.5 wins. Uriel Vasquez, are Anaheim or LA allowing fans? As far as I know, they are not. And SoCal is in such dire restrictions in dire need to kind of get out of this whole COVID mess.
I haven't really been following Anaheim or LA about what their restrictions are, but I believe the Lakers aren't allowing fans to attend the Staples Center. So, I think that's totally right.
Yeah. If the Lakers aren't allowing them in, they aren't. Nobody else is probably going to be going in. So that's what you look forward to in February. Of course, no matter what, Sunday the Pucknologist will be back on with the number episode. That will be your next content of shows on the channel. But of course, please hit subscribe. Really goes a long way. We appreciate the 30 likes so far. We can bump it up a little bit more if you haven't done it yet. But in case you missed anything, or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher. You see them all listed there, along with more of them. And always available at tealtownusa.com when our hosting server doesn't go to crap. So with that, Al Martinet, it's good to see you. Glad you are not in 2 feet of water.
Yeah.
Yet. Yeah, I know. We still have a little ways to go. So, your final thoughts on where the people can find you?
Rough stretch for the Sharks, obviously. I think that's what we kind of just talked about. But I do want to mention that as a Giants fan who went through the rough stretch of them rebuilding, I think we've gone through. We were just kind of just talking about them going through the Sharks going through a rough stretch. There is a huge reward going through and seeing seeing these young guys build up. Stick with the team. It's going to be rough, but if you stick with it, you're going to be rewarded for your effort. I know that sounds kind of grim, but for right now, this is just a season of hopefully you get a lot of veterans that look good on trade value and you do something long term with them. But we are extremely looking at long-term thinking with the Sharks at the moment, not Stanley Cup potential like we did 2 years ago.
He's at Al Martinet on the Instagram. I'm at Puckeye14 on the Twitter and the Instagram as well. We'll be back with you Sunday for the Pucknologist, potentially Monday. Again, keep a lookout on our social media. Follow us on the social media, Twitter and Instagram. Will be most updated along with tealtownusa.com. In fact, there are a couple articles that were put up today. Felix's Hockey Takes returns, COVID-19 edition part D. And, of course, AJ writing an article about our boy Drew Remenda being teased by NBC Sports California that he will be part of the pregame coverage on Monday. We always ask that you stay loyal to us for the postgame. We greatly appreciate it if you immensely on that for sure. So with that, we appreciate you. Thank you. Be safe. And until Sunday night for Pucknologist and maybe Monday for After Dark, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Thanks, everyone. We will see you later this week.